They say Louisiana hides its secrets in the swamp, dark, still, and deep enough to swallow anything that tries to surface. It's a place where history hums through the moss, where mansions whisper, and where the ground itself sometimes forgets what it's holding. But tonight, we're not wandering Bourbon Street or tasting gumbo. We're going somewhere stranger. These are the 5 weirdest places in Louisiana. Spots where science, superstition, and the human heart all get tangled in the same slow river. Tucked away behind old oaks dripping with Spanish moss, the Myrtles plantation looks peaceful, almost too peaceful. From a distance, it's the picture of southern charm. White columns, green shutters, and that slow summer quiet. But get a little closer, and you can feel it. That goosebump silence, the one that makes you check over your shoulder for no reason. Locals call it one of America's most haunted homes, and the stories floating around here? Whew, they're wild. There's talk of Chloe, the enslaved woman with a tragic backstory, a poisoned birthday cake, and a mirror that supposedly traps souls. Some folks swear that if you take a photo inside, faces show up later. Faces nobody remembers seeing there. What really gets you isn't just the ghost tales, though. It's that vibe. The air in those rooms feels thick, like the house itself is remembering things it can't quite let go of. Tour guides tell you about footsteps in empty halls, perfume that appears out of nowhere, and that one room where your phone battery just dies for no reason. Sit under that old oak in the garden at sunset, and you'll get it. The sound of frogs, the soft hum of the wind, and this eerie calm that makes you wonder how much of history actually stays buried. But here's the thing. While the Myrtles might hold faces in its mirrors, the next place we're going, it holds holes in the earth itself. And what's inside those holes might just change the way you think about solid ground. 2. The Bayou Corne sinkhole. Now imagine this. One night you go to bed in your quiet Louisiana town, and by morning, the ground has literally disappeared. That's what happened in Bayou Corne back in 2012. People woke up to the sound of the earth groaning, and when they stepped outside, trees were sliding into a black, bubbling pit that hadn't been there the day before. At first, it was the size of a small pond. Then it grew and grew. It swallowed acres of forest, pulling everything down like some living creature. They started calling it the monster of Assumption Parish, and honestly, it fits. When you stand near it, even now, you'll see the surface moving, breathing almost. It pops, hisses, and exhales methane bubbles that smell like metal and rain. It's quiet, but it's not still. And that's what makes it weird. The ground beneath your feet doesn't feel trustworthy anymore. Scientists said it was a collapsed salt dome caused by drilling. But locals, they'll tell you something else. They talk about nights when the sky glowed faintly green, or when the air itself felt heavy, like a warning. Some swear they heard deep, echoing sounds from underground, not rumbling but groaning, as if the earth was alive and angry. Families were forced to leave. Whole neighborhoods became ghost towns overnight, front porches sagging, children's bikes left half buried in mud. It wasn't just a geological event. It was like watching your home get erased one gulp at a time. And the strangest part, the sinkholes still moving. Not fast, not dramatic, but slow, steady, like it's thinking. It's one thing to visit a haunted house, but it's another to realize the land itself might be haunted by greed, by mistake, or by something deeper we can't name. And if you think that's unsettling, wait till you see a place where the dead don't rest below the ground, they rest above it. 3rd, St. Louis Cemetery No. 1. New Orleans doesn't hide its dead. It stacks them above the earth in long, crumbling rows of white stone, like little houses for the afterlife. And nowhere does it feel more alive with spirits than St. Louis Cemetery No. 1. The reason's partly practical. Louisiana's water table makes burials tricky, but it's also cultural, spiritual, and deeply human. Here lies Marie Laveau, the legendary voodoo queen of New Orleans, and even today, people come to her tomb to whisper wishes, leave coins, beads, or scrawled X's on the stone. Tourists might roll their eyes, but for many locals it's not superstition, it's respect, it's conversation. The living talking to the dead, and sometimes they say the dead talk back, Walk between the narrow aisles and you'll see lipstick marks, candles, little offerings of rum and tobacco. The air smells of wax and wet stone, and every footstep echoes like a heartbeat. You can feel the weight of belief here, not fear but reverence. There are stories, of course, of ghostly figures in white, of sudden chills, of wishes granted days after a visit. But the strangest part is how natural it feels. Here, death isn't final. It's just another neighbor in the city's long conversation with itself. If you listen closely, you might even hear a whisper in the wind, a reminder that in New Orleans the past isn't gone. It's just waiting for someone to say hello. And speaking of ghosts that never rest, the next stop isn't a cemetery, but a mansion where cruelty itself left a stain so deep it refuses to fade. For the LaLaurie Mansion. Right in the heart of the French Quarter stands a house too beautiful for its own story. The LaLaurie Mansion, all elegant balconies and polished wood, hides one of the darkest secrets in New Orleans history. In the early 1830s, it belonged to Madame Delphine LaLaurie, a socialite adored for her grace and charm, until one fire changed everything. When rescuers broke into her attic, they found evidence of horrific abuse against enslaved people, injuries and conditions so cruel, even by the standards of that brutal era, that the city turned on her instantly. She fled, vanishing into history, but the house stayed. And so did something else. Residents since then have reported cries at night, chains rattling, footsteps echoing through empty halls, or he heard someone begging, not for help, but for forgiveness. What makes it weirder is how ordinary the house looks. You could walk by it on a sunny afternoon and not feel a thing, until you do. A sudden drop in temperature, a tightness in your chest, a sound just faint enough to make you doubt your own ears. The LaLaurie Mansion doesn't just feel haunted, it feels ashamed. It's the rare ghost story where the villain isn't the spirit, but the memory of human cruelty. And maybe that's what makes it linger. Because pain, like a curse, doesn't always die when the people do. But while this mansion holds the echo of suffering, our last stop holds something quieter, a place not haunted by the dead, but by the slow disappearance of the living. Drive south, as far as the road will take you, and you'll reach a sliver of land barely clinging to the edge of the Gulf, Isle de Jean Charles. Once, it was home to a thriving indigenous community, the Biloxi Chitimacha Choctaw tribe. Families fished, built houses, raised children here for generations. Then, the water started creeping in, slowly at first, then faster. Storm by storm, inch by inch, the land began to sink and dissolve. Now, much of it's gone. Streets end in water, shrimp boats rest on what used to be front yards, and those who stay live with the sound of waves that never stop coming closer. It's haunting, but not in the ghost story way. It's haunting because it's real. It's the quiet tragedy of watching your home disappear, knowing it's not a story, it's your life. The people here call themselves the first American climate refugees. The governments tried to relocate them, but many refused to leave. "This is where my ancestors are," one elder said. "If the water takes me, it takes me here. Stand on the island at dusk and you'll see what they mean, the horizon stretching forever, the wind carrying both sorrow and strength. It's not just a vanishing island, it's a vanishing way of life." And maybe, just maybe, that's the strangest thing about Louisiana. Not the ghosts or the legends, but the way it holds on to everything: joy, pain, memory, and loss. Louisiana reminds us that weird isn't just about fear, it's about feeling. Because every odd corner here tells a story, not of monsters or magic, but of what it means to be human in a land that never stops shifting. They say Maine is where the map runs out, where the forests thicken, the fog never really leaves, and the sea swallows whatever it pleases. It's the edge of America, the first to see the sunrise, and sometimes the last to see what went missing. Tonight, we're traveling through 5 of the weirdest places in Maine where fact and folklore twist together like driftwood, each one stranger than the last, and all of... About 2 miles off the coast of Popham Beach sits Seguin Island, crowned by one of the oldest lighthouses in Maine. It's beautiful, but locals say it's also cursed. According to old keepers' tales, One lighthouse keeper once brought his young wife to the island. To fight her loneliness, he gave her a piano. The problem? It only came with one song, and she played it over and over, every day, for months. Driven mad by the repetition and isolation, the story says the keeper lost his mind, and one night silence returned, the kind that never left. Even today, coast guards and visitors report hearing faint piano notes floating across the fog. Some swear it drifts through the wind, especially before storms, as if the island still remembers the song that ended it all. And when the foghorn goes silent for just a moment, if you listen closely, you might hear her playing again. But the sea isn't the only thing that haunts Maine. Deep in its forests, something else refuses to stay buried. For 27 years, yes, 27, a man lived alone in the woods of central Maine without ever being seen. They called him the North Pond Hermit. Locals only knew him through his crimes: food missing from cabins, flashlights gone, propane tanks quietly stolen in the night. But no one ever saw him, not once. He survived brutal winters, sleeping in a hidden camp, wrapped in silence and patience. When he was finally caught in 2013, his name was Christopher Knight. He told police he hadn't spoken to another human being since the 1980s. Think about that. No words for nearly 3 decades. He said he broke into cabins not for greed, but just to stay alive, and because he couldn't stand the noise of the world anymore. When asked what he learned out there, Knight said something that still chills people in Maine. But while one man vanished from the world on purpose, there's a whole town in Maine that disappeared by accident. If you ever go kayaking across Flagstaff Lake, you might not realize you're floating above an entire drowned town. Back in the 1950s, 2 communities, Flagstaff and Dead River Plantation, were flooded intentionally to create a hydroelectric dam. Families were forced to leave. Houses were torn down, but not everything was removed. Under the water today still lie cellar holes, stone foundations, and rusting relics of what was once home to hundreds. When the water level drops during dry seasons, pieces of the past start to resurface. Old roads, fragments of homes, even a church step. Locals say when fog drifts low over the lake, it looks like the town is reappearing, waiting to breathe again. Some boaters claim to hear faint bells or children laughing under the mist, echoes that shouldn't exist anymore. But while Flagstaff Lake hides its ghosts underwater, the next place in Maine hides something older and stranger inside solid rock. Tucked deep in the woods near North Salem, strange stone chambers and carvings lie scattered across the land. Some call it America's Stonehenge. Massive granite blocks, aligned perfectly with solstices, mark the passage of the sun. Some say they were built by indigenous tribes long before colonial settlement. Others claim they're evidence of ancient travelers from Europe, or even something not quite human. Carbon dating hasn't answered everything. It only deepened the mystery. One chamber's perfectly with the sunrise on the summer solstice. On that day, a beam of light strikes a stone with what appears to be a carved face. Coincidence? Maybe. But archaeologists still can't explain why so many of the stones are arranged astronomically, or who built them. People who visit say they feel watched, that the air itself hums quietly around sunset, like the stones remember something we've forgotten. But not all of Maine's mysteries are ancient. One still stirs in the woods today, something that locals whisper about when the wind turns cold. It happened in 2006 in the small town of Palmyra, Maine. A family was sitting in their living room when they heard growls outside, deep, low, too close. When they looked out the window, they saw glowing eyes in the dark. At first, they thought it was coyotes. Then they realized the creatures were too large, too silent, and there were too many of them. The power suddenly went out. The family huddled together through the night as the noises circled the house, scratching, breathing, moving. By morning, they found large paw prints all around their home, but no trail leading in or out. Wildlife experts said there were no wolves in Maine. They'd been gone for decades, but the family swore those eyes weren't coyotes. To this day, locals talk about the Palmyra wolves. Some say they were hybrids. Others say they were something older, something that returns when the woods go quiet enough. And that's the thing about Maine. It doesn't need monsters to feel haunted. The land itself does the work. From a piano that never stops playing, to a hermit who forgot what human voices sound like, from towns drowned beneath lakes, to stones whispering to the sun, to eyes that still glow in the dark. Maine isn't just a state, it's a mood, a place where time moves slower, and where the line between story and truth is thinner than the morning fog. Maybe that's why so many who visit say they can't quite forget it, because part of Maine always stays with you. There's something about Maryland that people never tell you. Beneath the calm highways and colonial brick towns, something ancient still moves. The forests here don't just grow, they remember. The rivers run deep, carrying secrets older than the state itself. You might know Maryland for its blue crabs and quiet harbors, but beyond the postcard picture, there's a darker side. So tonight, we're going to step off the main road and into the 5 weirdest, most mysterious places in Maryland. Just outside the town of Bowie, there's a stretch of forest so quiet that even birds seem to avoid it. It's peaceful by day, but at night, locals say something else wakes up. They call it the Goatman. Half man, half goat. Born, according to legend, from a failed experiment at the old Beltsville Agricultural Research Center. Scientists were said to be testing when something went horribly wrong, and one of their own became the monster. Since the 1950s, people have sworn they've seen it. Tall, hairy, horns curling from its skull, carrying an axe and screaming like a man in pain. Cars have been found ripped open, dogs missing, hikers too scared to talk. It's easy to laugh off, until you drive that road at night. The trees close in, headlights flicker on old guardrails, and the air feels heavier than it should. You roll your window up without realizing it, and suddenly, every shadow looks like it's breathing. Maybe it's a story parents tell to keep kids from sneaking out, or maybe something from that lab really did escape. Because not far from Bowie, another place still bears the scars of something humans couldn't control. About an hour south of Washington, D.C., the Potomac River holds a graveyard, not of people but of ships. Mallows Bay looks calm at first. Birds circle above the water, sunlight glimmers on the ripples. But underneath lies one of the strangest sights in America, over 230 shipwrecks rotting in shallow water. It's called the Ghost Fleet. During World War I, hundreds of wooden steamships were built here, but the war ended before they could be used. They were abandoned, burned, and left to sink. And as the decades passed, nature took them back. Trees now grow from their decks, fish swim through their ribs, and the entire bay looks like a half-sunken forest made of ghosts. Kayakers say that on foggy mornings it feels like rowing through another world, a place halfway between life and death. Some even claim to hear faint hammering, like shipbuilders still at work beneath the surface. Scientists call it an ecological miracle. Locals call it cursed. But whether it's decay or rebirth, one thing's for sure: the Ghost Fleet of Mallows Bay doesn't stay silent. And speaking of silence, our next stop might be the quietest and the loneliest town in all of Maryland. Off Maryland's eastern shore, there once was an island called Holland Island, a small fishing community, families, churches, children, and houses standing proud on the Chesapeake Bay. But the bay had other plans. The water began to rise, storms hit harder, and year by year the land disappeared. By the 1920s, homes were washing into the sea. In 2010, the very last house collapsed into the waves, the final piece of a vanished town. Now, all that remains are bits of broken brick, scattered wood, and ghosts of laughter carried by the wind. Fishermen say that sometimes on a calm day, you can still see the outline of the streets underwater and hear faint church bells long after the island sank. It's a haunting reminder that even places have lifespans and that time always wins. But if Holland Island was taken by water, our next mystery was born from the fire of human fear, and maybe something worse. Almost every state has one. That one bridge nobody crosses at night. In Maryland, it's known as Crybaby Bridge. There are a few across the state, but the most infamous stands near Prince George's County. Legend says that long ago, a woman threw her baby from the bridge in despair, or perhaps in something darker. Ever since, those who stop their cars there at midnight swear they hear a baby crying from below. Some say handprints appear on fogged windows. Others claim their engines stall right in the middle. as if the bridge itself refuses to let them go. But what makes it truly unsettling is how every version of the story ends the same way. No one ever finds where the cries come from. Whether it's grief echoing through time or just wind across water, Crybaby Bridge has never stopped weeping. And if that story chills you, wait until you hear about the mountain that watches back. High in the Catoctin Mountains inside Gambrel State Park, there's a twisted old oak that locals call the witch tree. It doesn't look like much at first, just gnarled bark and crooked limbs. But step closer and the temperature drops. Birds go silent. And if you listen, really listen, some say you can hear faint whispers rising from the roots. According to legend, a woman accused of witchcraft was hanged there in the early 1800s. They say her spirit fused with the tree, her anger feeding its strength. Now the tree refuses to die. Every time lightning strikes it, the wood burns, but it never fully falls. Rangers say hikers leave offerings, coins, ribbons, even letters, just to keep the forest calm. Whether it's superstition or something alive beneath the bark, no one dares to cut it down. Some places are haunted by ghosts, others are haunted by memory, but this one feels haunted by the earth itself. And maybe that's the real secret Maryland keeps, that its strangest places aren't just stories. They're reflections of what we fear losing most. Every legend you've heard tonight, the Goatman, the Ghost Fleet, the Vanishing Island, Crybaby Bridge, and the Witch Tree, holds a piece of truth inside it. Maybe they're not about monsters or ghosts at all. Maybe they're about us, the people who build, destroy, and forget, while the land keeps the score. So the next time you drive through Maryland and the fog rolls in just a little thicker than usual, take a look at the trees, listen to the water, and remember, something strange is hiding in Maryland, and it's still there. So tell me, which one would you dare to visit first? And before you go, remember this. Sometimes the strangest places aren't the ones that scare us. They're the ones that quietly remind us how small we really are. Subscribe for more journeys through America's hidden, haunted, and unexplained corners.